Just wanted to discuss a few thoughts that have been coming up within the space of aware presence, and to communicate to those that are out there listening in need of some assistance, some guidance, support that could steer your thoughts back to the source. But we first have to disentangle ourselves from externalizing our identity of who we think we are with the objects that we are perceiving, and to let go without clinging or objectification. We are ineffable consciousness beyond all differentiation. We are inseparably one. And it is only through nothingness, which is the ground of all experiences in space-time, that even a perceived something can exist. You are pure potential, the observer that is not a person. It is an aware intelligence, luminous consciousness, and embracing that is a profound revolution of understanding and identity. When you break free of the unconscious habits of identifying with thoughts and feelings that we cling to through our habits and tendencies. We are the source space of all things that appear and disappear. This is what love is. It's the totality of consciousness being fully awake to itself, without the need of allowing ourselves to get stuck in the drama of life by this false identification with this mistaken identity. We need to see all things objectively, with dispassion, without attachment, without getting locked up in thought. Layers of God inception. We start to dream away from the self and get caught up within the projections that come from the source of the self. This is what it means by awareness being aware of itself. You have to go back to where all these things had its origin. And as I said many times, if you choose to keep your focus on the objects, then we decide to get ourselves lost in the unconscious. The illusion of a personal self, by default, reinforces the idea of separateness. That estranges us from our fundamental essence. This is the eternal, ever-present source that's hidden underneath labels and surface appearances. Somehow the source forgot that it is the source of projections, by putting up walls of appearances, concepts, and narratives that insulate us into a separate sense of self. So you can say that the only way to freedom is by peeling away all forms, all that we are not, until we are empty. In this state, words are insignificant and inadequate. But the ego has no interest in waking up. It is a very frightening process for the ego to surrender to the source of where it came from. It seeks to control and to keep you in a state where you feel small, insignificant, familiar, and predictable. And this way you cannot move forward in your growth. It only seeks to keep you held into a contracted state of consciousness. While on the other hand, you as presence is only seeking to expand. When you stay as a human being in limited awareness, you will always feel disempowered. It's a very uncomfortable place to be in because there is no sense of security there. The perceiver, which is imageless, timeless, unmoved, the base of all silence and stillness, is the ground of all being. doesn't go away. But what it observes, those are the fleeting, transient things that can be measured. They do not represent your immeasurable spirit. They are just movements within consciousness that we have dichotomized. So it's important to recognize that you are that which was prior to this abstraction called a person, prior to thoughts, to your form, to the whole known universe. Without your observing intelligence, nothing would exist in the field of your self or experience. And this is what we become blinded to through the hypnosis of biology and social cultural conditionings. All things that become a sort of deflection or a distraction in the game of life to take us away from finding out who we are. It's an adversarial force that we have put there to challenge us. It is contrast to help us to grow, to expand out of contracted awareness back to our true self, which is infinite, all-pervasive knowingness. But it's a choice. It always boils down to the two doors: love or fear, oneness or separateness. We decide what we do with our experiential reality. You are the one diamond consciousness, but you also represent simultaneously a facet of that diamond consciousness in the channel of what you consider a human story. Every facet of ourselves is being seen and observed on the screen of our one self. Every person that you see is a reflection of yourself. You have to merge upon the realization or the recognition of your true source identity. You are responsible by how you see and feel about things all the time. You have the ability to decide every moment how you are going to define or interpret whatever images, sensations, and experiences that show up in your space of witnessing. And each moment is a point of decision to choose your definitions frame by frame. In essence, that is the true power you have within yourself. That's the only control you will ever have. So it's important to manage all that you've downloaded here in this virtual reality game of life. And be very careful of the meanings that you assign to them. It's important not to buy into definitions or belief systems that you hold about things in a negative way. A negative in, you get negative out. And a lot of times the choices that you make in unawareness bring you to the longest route to your true source self. And these choices will short circuit your ability to access your power. You do not have to buy into unconscious definitions from others that are out of alignment with your true core being. You have to bring it into conscious recognition. It makes no sense to hold on to anything that is out of alignment with your eternal essence. Everything fundamentally has no built-in meaning. You have the innate power to assign meaning to all things. So approach all things consciously. Then you are free to control the reality that you're in. And you can also root out all unconscious belief systems, the weeds that destroy the very garden that you set out to protect. All those fears are just smoke and mirrors. It's important to recognize that you do not have to identify, defend, or fight against negative belief systems. These negative belief systems form what we call bad habits. And so, in our minds, we think it's very difficult to change. But that is just a meaning or definition that you put on it. After all, a habit is something you just do over and over again, to the point where you don't know that you're doing it because it's done unconsciously. Once you're conscious of what you are doing, it becomes a choice. And this is where you take your power and responsibility back by doing something about changing that. And it's up to us to move forward and expand, or decide to sabotage this process by talking ourselves out of it. I mean, if you want to make it very complicated, I wouldn't want to take that away from you, because that is your path, your choice. However, it does not have to be your only choice. You don't have to limit or constrict yourself to that. No one can be upset with you if you choose to remain unconscious, in a state of anesthesia, based on the sensory panorama of the unconscious reality that you're living in. The Matrix is a dream away from the self. The aim of this whole experience, through contrast that this theater is being played upon, is to wake up from it, so that you are simultaneously in both worlds. You're in a state of lucidity. You have one foot in the relative realm of illusion, and you have the other foot in the absolute. That which cannot be named, measured, or understood by the mind and senses. Nowhere to go, except in the home of the heart, which is ever present, which you can never really go to because that is what you are. Only your mind and your I thoughts refuse to see it that way. What's an I thought? An I thought is a thought that we have personalized and think of it as ourself. We add that on to this conceptual identity that is conceived through the mind and given life through our vital energetic attention. It is completely in your power to determine what you will experience moment to moment. You choose all of the options that are available to you, and it's very important to choose the most conscious one and act on it to the best of your ability. And when the next moment takes shape, it will reveal itself to you. This is what surrender means: total acceptance of this unlimited reservoir of creative power that can only be accessed in the now. And surrendering is not giving up anything except the things that do not represent who you are, your innermost core. You have to open yourself to a new way of seeing, a new way of being, and every meaning or definition that you impose on this moment creates a whole new world. All you need to do is cut the umbilical cord to identification.